Good evening. It's normal to feel anxious from time to time. However, when ongoing anxiety and worry interferes with your daily activities, it may be a sign of depression or anxiety disorder. While there are many strategies of coping and treating mental disorders, there is need to intentionally set aside time to practice self-care, which is essential in enhancing our mental health. But what is self-care, and how do you develop a daily self-care practice and eventually move from coping with depression and anxiety to healing and then into thriving and having a thriving life? Tonight, we'll be sharing valuable information on these and also exploring practical tips that can be effective to our mental health. And to help us with this discussion tonight is Jen Ngatia, a counseling psychologist and a mental health enthusiast. We are asking you to engage with us for any question or comment regarding our topic of today. Our WhatsApp number is 0708 222 323 or our WhatsApp line is 20933. Remember, we are always live on Facebook and YouTube. Our handle is at Top TV Kenya. Good evening and welcome to Health Check right here at Top TV. This is your weekly medical show helping you to have ideas and information on matters your health. I'm your host, Grace Mutisa. I hope you had a beautiful week and you're ready for another dose of health tech. Allow me to introduce Jen to us. Good evening, Jen.
Good evening, Grace.
You've been keeping well?
Very well, I thank God.
Yes.
Mentally, yes. As far as I know, I'm trying my best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. You know, times are tough and times are hard, but we have to keep going.
We have to.
Okay.
There is no much choice for that, Grace.
True.
We must keep ourselves going and we must keep, away anything that will compromise our wellness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very interesting topic we are having tonight, focusing on self-care and mental health. And in the times you're living, everything has gone up in terms of prices. Maandamanos left, right, and center, maybe from tomorrow, and many people are living in that place of anxiety. But to start a conversation off, what is self-care?
Oh, that's a very good question. I love it. I would say self-care is that deliberate effort that someone will do or taking deliberate steps to ensure that they are well. Whatever it is, whichever direction they go, the idea is the person is taking conscious responsibility and conscious practical steps to be able to stay well. And of course, to keep at bay anything that would interfere with the general wellness of the person.
Okay.
That's what self-care is. And self-care can come in different ways.
Yes.
Different people have different ways of taking care of themselves. One could say, well, when I join sports, when I go to swimming, when I visit people, when I see, needy people and give a hand there, that is how I feel fulfilled. Because self-care ideally should give a person personal and self-fulfillment.
Okay.
I should feel good about what I've done, and that is part of my self-care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it have a different definition when we come to the medical field, the term self-care? Does it have a different definition?
I would imagine if medical personnel was defining self-care, they would probably look at that which will keep away disease. Anything, call it washing our hands, maybe clean, so that we don't get germs in our hands and eventually get sick. Probably going to places where we are likely to get unwell as far as organic illnesses are concerned. Maybe being in a smoking zone where people are smoking, that's, I need to be away from such places. And that is self-care as far as medical issues are concerned. But Grace, I would like us to look at self-care in a wholesome way.
Yes.
Where we are doing everything possible, not just to keep away diseases, but also to keep ourselves free of anxiety, reduce stress. We may not bring it to zero level, but we can bring it to manageable level where life can go on. We can actually fight depression through self-care.
Okay.
So that is a wholesome way of ensuring that we are totally well. Because that's the idea behind even fighting mental mental illness.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the mental illness bit. And at the beginning, of course, you've mentioned, self-care varies. There are different types, and different ways to take, experience or practice self-care. That's the word I was looking for. Are you able to mention to us some of the types of self-care that we have?
Oh, yes. And for us to be able also to, categorize that which we do as self-care, we need to be enjoying it. Self-care also involves something about, do I like it? Do I enjoy it? Or is it being, pushed down my throat? If it's like sports activities, I can identify one that I can engage in that gives me relief. That kind of, I am enjoying what I'm doing. I'm probably, running on the spot. Do I love it? As opposed to someone who does, one rap of maybe 300 meters, 400 meters, whatever it is. So that which we enjoy, and it gives us relief. We experience a sense of accomplishment. That is self-care. Self-care could just be about sitting in a place, just deciding not to do anything.
Doing nothing.
Just be there, enjoying the nature, the creations of God, and just being there. We talk of nature trail. Someone could just go to a place like those in Nairobi, Arboretum, or other places in Nairobi, because we have many. I often see people hanging out at Uhuru Park.
Yes.
I mean, self-care.
Yes.
Yes, others you take a boat ride and so on. So it varies. It is from, one person to another. But also self-care also has to do with the way we impress ourselves, the way we even dress. Like Grace, you have taken care of yourself.
Thank you.
This is self-care. You're looking good.
You too.
And thank you. And when you feel you are feeling good about yourself, about the way you even dress, you like matching your, dressing, and call it dressing up.
Yes.
Maybe for an occasion or just to feel good. That raises self-esteem. And self-esteem is one area that need to be up in the air. As in, we must be confident that self-esteem is actually the driving engine. It drives us.
Yes.
It helps us to be able to work. It helps even to keep off many things that would otherwise compromise our emotional and mental wellness.
Okay.
So it depends on what someone loves doing. If it's an exercise, go ahead and do. If it's visiting friends and, hanging out somewhere in a good way, positive impact, that is self-care. So we would not really put ourselves in a box and say this is really what self-care is, because it depends on different people and the resources available to them that they can be able to engage in and enjoy themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're joining us right now, you are on Health Check right here at Top TV. Look and Live. I'm hosting Jen Gatia. She is a counseling psychologist and a mental health enthusiast. And we're discussing about self-care and mental health. Do you have any question? Do you have any comment? Do you have anything that you need clarification on? Of course, Jen will be glad to answer you. Engage with us. Our SMS line is 20933. That is 20933. You can also talk to us on our WhatsApp line 0708 342 and you can get on the comment section on Facebook and YouTube and engage with us on the comment section, on inbox, whichever platform you feel comfortable. We'll be glad to hear from you and also answer any question that you have. Remember to share this link with a friend who will benefit from our discussion today. Jen, coming back to you, one thing I've had you keep emphasizing on is that self-care, it's all around you as a person. What you like, what makes you happy, what boosts your self-esteem. That's the starting point.
Oh.
So let's bring it up and tag the mental bit of it. So what's the relation between self-care and mental health?
Wow, that's a very important question, Grace. There is a direct relationship, if I may say, between self self-care and wellness in general, and in particular, mental health. Let's take, for instance, when I don't feel good about myself, in most cases, my self-esteem is nosediving. Very soon, it will hit the very bottom. And when that happens, it means that I'm no longer confident, I'm no longer feeling good about myself, I don't like myself, leave alone loving. I don't like myself at all. And that is the first entry gate for depression to set in.
Okay.
And when depression sets in, it could get worse. It can get nasty. One could actually sink. We talk about sinking into depression.
Yes.
And once a person is depressed, anything else comes. There is a kind of magnetic attraction. So that when one thing goes wrong, everything else seems to follow to go wrong as well. Because within that package of depression, there's already anxiety, there's already stress, there is anger. And that is the point where we get to, and a person begins to feel they're not even worth living.
Yeah.
There's a vacuum, there's a state of hopelessness and helplessness. And the person keeps feeling, I probably would have been better off if I was out of myself. If I was not me, I would, and they begin to search for a different way of getting rid of me, as in myself.
Yeah.
And that is now where we begin to say the person develops suicidal intent or ideations.
Yes.
And that's a very dangerous zone. It's actually a no-go zone. So whatever began like, well, maybe I don't like myself, it becomes a whole mountain.
Yes.
And it gets very difficult for the person to climb because they do not have the energy. And once they have no energy, they'll sit at the mountain bottom and anything passes and it will crush them.
Yes.
So that is the relationship, part of the relationship. But again, Grace, anxiety.
Yes.
Anxiety sounds very harmless, but it is actually one of, we even call it the mother of all psychopathology.
What does it portray?
Yes, because it sounds, it feels like, it's very easy for me to say, for instance, I feel anxious. And just
you say
leave
it casually, actually. Did,
yeah. Maybe Grace, you have said that.
Oh, like today I've said it, I think twice today. I'm so anxious.
Yes, yeah. I'm anxious,
yeah.
I'm depressed, I am stressed. All those things we say, and probably we don't think about the weight that they have.
Yes.
So those are dangerous statements to say, because we need to be able to work on them. I need to work on that which I think is giving me anxiety, as opposed to sitting there and saying that I feel anxious.
Yes.
Or just explaining to someone how anxious I've been the whole day. What did I do about it? No. I am just about to enter the danger zone.
Yes.
So those are the things that invite our mental wellness. And again, also looking at mental wellness as, another world. It's a big, huge world, so to speak. Yes. So we need to be able to fight whatever, make us step into that world. Because it's not comfortable. It's not a good space to be in or to occupy, for that matter.
Okay.
So it is those little things that happen. But generally, our emotional state is directly related to our mental state. Our physical state will also affect our emotional, and it's a kind of like subset, a ring that keeps overlapping at some point. So we need to ensure that all around we are stable.
Okay.
Including even our social relations. Maybe, Grace, many people don't think about their social relations.
Talk about that a bit.
Oh, yes. The company, the network of friends that I keep have capacity to throw me off balance. And being around people who are always complaining, angry people, people who never appreciate anything, that's another thing.
Yes.
It is important that we help ourselves out of that space, out of that company, and also help them so that we don't also leave them in that space just for us to come back and be dragged into that because we are trying to pull them up. Anyway, it's quite complicated. But our social relations, and social relations would also mean our family atmosphere, the atmosphere around there, and also the support that we give. Actually, it is established with beyond doubts that people who support others, just giving support, even a glass of water to a person who was thirsty and didn't know where to find that water, that is support. And people who give, they are better off than those who receive because they improve their mental wellness without even knowing.
Yes.
So it is important that as a society, as families, as individuals, we learn to support others. We learn to give. Yes, and that helps us a lot.
Okay. You know, some of the things you're mentioning, Jane, they sound so simple, and yet if not taken care of, can lead you what you're calling to the depths of depression or depths of anxiety.
True.
So in your day-to-day practice, what are some of the common things that patients present themselves with that from their end they thought it's just normal? I didn't think this was a big issue to warrant me to have a prescription that I'm depressed or I have anxiety disorder.
Wow, that's a good one. Generally, without being very specific to any individual, yes, there are many issues. In my practice, I practice counseling, and I counsel people every day. I counsel families, I counsel children. And most of the things that you happen and that you push a person to the wall are those things that they even never thought that they matter. I think of an issue that may be presented not really as anger, but the person is angry that life is not doing for them, that they have failed to get promotion at work, you know, which probably they have no much authority over.
Yes.
Because they can't give themselves promotion.
Yes, sure.
Someone else does. So those little things that, you know, push us to the wall sometimes also unrealistically are hampered by the person. Relations are also another thing. Maybe a broken relationship, it has refused to get amended, as in bridges are broken completely, and the person feels guilty about it,
yes,
that maybe I was responsible. So relationships is another thing that can actually compromise our general wellness. But also being worried about things that are beyond us as human beings. It is completely unnecessary. We actually say it is irrational to keep worrying about our situation. Think of like now our country.
Yes.
There are people in charge. The things we are experiencing right now as Kenyans are probably not very easy. It may not even be considered a walk in the park.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But what powers do we have as an individual, as I am? Someone is in charge. I expect they take responsibility of making sure that systems are running, that we can go to work, that we can concentrate, that we can earn our daily bread and manage to put bread on the table, as it were.
Yes.
So those are things that I really do not have to carry around my head the whole day.
Okay.
It's true, if I don't have a penny in the pocket,
Yes.
I will get anxious. But I should not hang on there, because the more I hang on there, the worse it gets. Because what happens is I'll be incapacitated, even at the thought level, so I'm not able to think as quickly as I should.
Yes.
Since I'm busy worrying, then that space is taken away. So it is good for us also to be realistic. And those are the things that most people you present. And of course, my work is to help them to see that if it's something they could have done,
yes,
then they should do it.
Okay.
If it is beyond them, do what you can, up to where you can, and leave the rest to those who are supposed to do.
Okay.
Of course, the worst is to do nothing about anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just be there in their zone doing nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. You've mentioned about example of work, some of those things that could get us not to take care of ourselves and drive us into having mental issues. What about the social aspect and the family aspect? We always believe family cannot hurt us, but yet there could be things happening in that space that could lead us to go south in terms of our mental health. What are those?
Yeah, and I think that's a very interesting observation, Grace. Yes, families. Somebody described a family as a system. And this system has several units or parts to it. So when one unit is not functioning, then the entire system seems to fail, or somehow it is not functioning. And that dysfunctionality is what will affect the members of the family. So I suggest that families work on anything that can destabilize the equilibrium. Because ideally, in a family, every unit, every child, whether it's parent, whoever is in that family, need to take their position. They need to be doing what needs to be done so that we reduce issues of stress, who is stressing who, issues of who didn't come home on time, issues, family memorandum of understanding is always considered to be very important. If families can communicate and they are open to each other, parents can encourage children to talk. Yes. Children can also, feel free with their parents. That is very important because ideally that will contribute to the family wellness.
Yes.
As we talk about individual wellness, there is also the overall family wellness. And when families are well, then we expect if 1, 2, 3, 4, up to whatever number of families are well, we are saying the community is well.
Yes.
So we need to fight this thing right, left, center, called mental and wellness. Mental instability, social, but also social out there. We need to identify as a family, what is it that is interfering with the family wellness? Who is coming in? Who is the unwanted guest?
Yes.
Yes. And deal with them in a good way. So it is important that that social connection is also sorted out well. Probably we may have heard things like, I don't like that family interacting with my family. I don't like those children, hanging out with my children.
Yes.
Why? Because there is something that you come to inject bad blood, as it were,
yes,
in this particular family. So we need also to check on those social relations, interfamily relations, individual relations, and as I said earlier on, we need each other, but we need also to be acting in a way that we give support to one another.
Okay.
And avoid what will bring friction between us to kind of cause a constraint on the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And before we go on a break quickly, we have a few minutes to go. What are some of the practical things that we can do and we can make them a habit, in our day-to-day life that can help us in taking care of our mental health?
Wow, beautiful. Mental health, for us, maybe to think of the practical things, is one part of the total wellness.
Yes.
If we can be able to work on the rest of the segments, the physical, let's avoid anything that will make me sick. When I fall ill, I am not able to work.
Yes.
And that is now another area of wellness that is recognized, that contributes to our total wellness. Occupation. Occupation is very important.
Yes.
Nobody is allowed to do nothing and to be idle.
Yes.
And to be lazy.
Yeah.
Maybe to speak the least. That is part of our wellness.
Yes.
If a person is not sick, as in, physically unwell or unfit, they need to be occupied so that they are intellectual, they are, upstairs, can also be sharpened.
Yes.
And then we need also to take care of the kind of relationships that we have, the friendships and all that. That is called the social aspect or dimension of health.
Yes.
We need also to take care of our emotional stability and wellness. That is also very important. But psychologically, we need to keep clear. We need not to see things that are not there.
Yes.
We need to assure ourselves. That is kind of like self-talk.
Yes.
I'm good. I'm created well.
Yeah.
I mean, and for me, I say I'm created in God's image. So
Yes.
I need to live up to the standard.
Self-affirmation.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is also very important, that we give ourselves the ability. Before anyone tells me, Jane, you are good, to go on this one, I should have been aware. That is what we call self-awareness.
Yes.
Yeah, it's part of our awareness.
Okay.
Overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you've touched on physical, emotional, psychological, you need to be okay. I wanted to emphasize on occupational.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing a lot happen. Organizations are retrenching people. Yesterday you had work.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, you're told, sorry, you need to go home. We no longer need your service. How can such kind of a person take care of themselves? Or it's too overwhelming. People have been retrenched. The remaining one, you thank God you still have work, but you have to do work like for 7 other people because you're cutting down on cost. How can we take care of our mental health for these two sets of people in that environment?
Yes, that is also a very important observation. Actually, I would add to the list and
Yes.
say, even when people are retiring, no, they are losing something. They are losing an occupation.
Yes.
And it is equally important that we get the person supported. Whether it is that particular employer or whether it is other people who rally around that person just to give support to be able to be on their 2 feet.
Yes.
Because somehow they have been thrown off balance. I mean, it's not easy. That's loss. And any issue of loss will put anyone off the highway.
Yeah.
And once off the highway, they need support to get back. They even need to be guided. But more importantly is what the person tell themselves. If I tell myself, I'm finished, I'm done,
Oh my, and the way
I'm
you
so
talk that
useless.
casually.
Yes. Yes, and telling myself I'm so useless.
Yeah.
I've just been laid off and so I'm done. That is not a good trend.
Yes.
We need to learn to give ourselves assurance.
Yeah.
We must see hope where probably there isn't. And somehow, if we insist,
Yes.
there'll be a way.
Yes.
So that is very important.
Okay.
So let's seek support when we feel we are really down.
Okay.
And we need to stretch our hand for someone to hold our hand and get us off the ditch.
Okay. Wow. Please lift up your hand for someone to see to get you off the ditch. Are you there? Please do that. And also let us know if you have any question or comment. You're talking about self-care and mental health on Health Check today. And I'm hosting Jen Ngatia. She's a counseling psychologist and passionate about mental health. You can talk to us on 20933. That's our SMS line, 20933. You can also talk to us on Facebook and YouTube. We are live there, by the way. Share the link with a friend at Hop TV Kenya. And our WhatsApp line is 0708 222 323. We are looking forward to your questions after this short break. Keep it right here. Grab that glass of water. Come back. Let's continue the discussion.
Only God can turn a mess into a message.
I have a boy on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm still preaching on the pulpit.
Amen.
Niliona mguu ya nyuma inakuja tu kunikanyaga, imenilenga tu kwa tumbo, nikaitana tu Jesus.
I got tired of working with the x-ray papers, and one day I just woke up and decided to burn them.
A test into a testimony.
The whole community didn't want to hear that anybody is born again. Excommunicated straight.
Bila Yesu hakuna njia.
Join Sharon Naitore Wangenye on Testify.
Katika hiyo harakati hiyo spirit kakemewa, mimi nimeona Yesu Kristo namna hii kwa msalaba. Opa, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. for a moment to grow your faith some more.
Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Spotlight.
Do you feel that they are in a place where they can effect a Barack Obama moment?
When you hear the word of God and you hear Jesus is speaking.
Real talk on real issues.
You know, the Bible says faith without works is dead.
The truth of the gospel that will survive the time is not a health and wealth gospel.
When there is time to harmonize and bring one composite amendment.
With idealistic, thought-provoking guests.
So people come to be serviced, to be encouraged, to be empowered.
When the storm is over, you desire the closeness you have with God.
Hosted by Reverend Edward Furi.
And leave. I hope you're enjoying your dinner or enjoying that cup of Kenyan tea. It's a bit chilly in the city. I hope where you are it's warm. And of course, we're talking about self-care and mental health. And this is the hour we are going to look at your questions. So quickly keep them coming so that you can have Jen answer them. Any question or comment that you have, and we want to appreciate you who's already texted in, you who is watching us on Hop TV, and for you following us online at Hop TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. So Jen, before we sample some of the few questions, what are some of the practical things that we can apply to help us manage depression and anxiety?
Wow, a very good question again there. Yes, it is important that first we acknowledge. Acknowledging, as much as it may sound not sound practical, is very important.
Yes.
We need to acknowledge that we are down there. But we are not going to lie there and be stepped on. So that is the starting point. The next point is to call out for anyone who cares to listen to our dilemma.
Yes.
To what we are going through. That is called talk therapy.
Yes.
Talking, telling someone, sharing with someone. Because our mental health does not, like all other, it thrives where a person self-isolates.
Secrecy kind of a thing.
Yes. Actually, it thrives best there. It comes to isolate a person from the rest, from getting any help. So we need to be able to speak, we need to trust someone and share with them. And that someone has also to be caring enough. Probably we all need to know this, because if you ever had someone saying that, you know, I feel bad, I feel terrible,
yes,
I feel like it's not worth living, what are they saying? They are communicating something.
Yes.
And it is important for you who is listening to be able to call out for more help. It could even be medical help, psychiatric attention for management of that, or it could be probably a counseling issue. The person just need to be, you know, a one start off. And once they get that, start off, they are able to move. So talking is important and getting out of that space. By the way, Grace, a person who is depressed should never confine themselves. If you feel you are depressed, you are down, you are not good enough, get out. Do the opposite. Because depression has a way of putting someone in a cage.
And how would someone know they are depressed? Because I think for the few people I've met, they have no idea they are depressed. Actually, they're in denial. I don't think I'm depressed. I'm just going through a tough season. Yeah. So what are some of the telltale signs that this person is depressed?
Very interesting. Those who are not depressed say, I'm depressed. Those who are depressed are not ready to own up.
True.
So once a person feels terrible, there is always a feeling of like emptiness.
Yes.
That emptiness is danger. It is a red flag. It is saying we are coming and we are coming wholesome.
Okay.
That is depression knocking at the door.
Yes.
So the feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, I don't want to wake up, I don't want to work, I have no appetite or too much appetite, I can't sleep, a situation where they even get disrupted sleep patterns and what have you. All those are telltale signs that the person is actually depressed.
Okay.
We may not know the severity because that now requires professional, assessment and testing and all that to be able to tell how severe is this. Does the person require medication? Do they require just psychotherapy or behavioral therapy, and they are good to go?
Yes.
Or they'll come up.
Yes.
So it is important that the person get out of that space, get out to other people, tell them, go shout it there, tell them what you feel. It may not look like a good thing, but we need to own up. In any case, Grace,
yes.
Depression is a mental health issue. It is not something that one is pretending. No one would like to be in the very bottom.
True.
So it is an illness, it is a state of unwellness. And when we have a headache, apparently, we are very quick to say, I have a headache. And we are looking for that, painkiller to manage it.
Yes.
But when we get depressed, we don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And actually, other people even avoid those who say they're depressed. It is so unfortunate that that's how we are getting more and more people sinking into depression, anxiety. Every time we feel anxious about something, we need to run very fast, running for help, and particularly we start with ourselves so that we work on that which is giving us anxiety. Anxiety is very easy to identify because there is that feeling of something will not work out, something will go wrong. And generally, anxiety is an apprehension of something may not work out for me. I'm going for this job interview, I think I'll fail, and anxiety also thrives on the negative.
Yes.
Not really on the positive. So we have to refuse, literally get out of that space, get even physically, walk away and see the other part of the world, and tell yourself, you cannot fail in that job interview. Oh, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I lost to sample some of the few questions our viewer you've forwarded to us, and thank you so much. Keep them coming. Our first viewer is asking us, Daktari, how do I help myself as a new mom to maintain mental sanity? New moms. Oh, I feel her.
That's a good one. First of all, let's congratulate the new mom.
Yes.
That is a very good question, ma'am, you have asked there. Yes, you are a new mom, and time will tell, you'll not forever be new.
Yes.
Many more things will happen. Yes, to keep your, sanity, as you put it, you need definitely to identify the things that you need to avoid. Babies, when they are young, they can actually also create a small hell for the moms in terms of crying at night. They don't want to sleep. They don't want to eat. Maybe that's what the mom is talking about. And they are all over, not giving us peace. Manage them in the best way that you can. But when you get an opportunity, new mom, get the best of it. If you get some, the baby sleeps, get yourself also to enjoy the sleep, if you can.
Yes.
But if you can't, then do the things that will make you happy at some point. Get someone even to hold the baby for a while.
Yes.
You need some help. You need a break. Of course, not by taking the baby to the neighbor, but just having your baby. But again, see that baby as a blessing. And once we turn around and we say, oh yeah, I really wanted to have this baby. Now I have them. And turn around and let's see the good side of having the baby.
Okay.
The hard times will soon pass.
Okay.
Yes.
That reminds me, there is also a form of depression that first-time moms go through, or even second-time or third-time mom goes through if they don't have that self-care. Postpartum depression.
Postpartum depression, yes.
Will you talk about that and how we can avoid that as first-time moms watching?
Yeah,
or moms-to-be?
True.
Yes.
Some mothers may experience the postpartum depression, generally postpartum, probably because of their genetic material or just because of the anxiety that was hanging on there just before the baby came. You know, there's a lot of anticipation. Yes, when the baby comes, what do we change around? Will the baby be crying? Shall we be happy? Will life be normal again for us? And what have you? So that is actually what pushes some mothers into postpartum depression. But that should go off. It should be, fade as time goes by. But the mother also have to be busy doing other things, of course, attending to the baby. If it gets nasty, it is good to seek help. Medical help would help. Psychological counseling would help, whereby the mother can be empowered on how to probably go about it. But generally, that can be managed at even personal level. Where the person, just the way we manage general depression, well, that's just a type of depression that sets in. But also, if there's a father or another family member around, they should be able to help. They should be able to support so that at least hold the baby a bit. I used to see in my days, Grace, I'll give somebody the baby and say, hey, let them cry on your hands a little. You need to have a feel of what I go through. And I tell them, you can even go outside and, try to, there's a way we were saying it. And the baby will probably slip out of those lullabies and what have you. So let others come in and support. And by the way, Grace, because of that postpartum, not traditionally, in many cultures, mothers would go to see a mother who has delivered a baby. The idea was not to take the uji. It was not to take the ugari, and the ugari wasn't part of it, and soup and what have you. The idea was to debrief the mother to keep off postpartum depression. The mother talks about their experience. And that's why it is good to visit a mother who has got a baby when they are still there, as soon as it is possible to visit them. Sharing that experience is a debriefing moment. And the mother feels relieved. After all, I've told them what my experience was like. Eventually, when the baby came, what was it like? And how is it like now? That is psychologically living. And we call it psychological debriefing.
First time moms watching, please allow mothers to visit you. Mature mothers who've gone ahead and say, don't visit me until 6 months. Please allow them to help you to avoid postpartum depression. And of course, when you go, be kind and help. Don't just sit there, help with the baby. Please, Daktari, how can one take care of themselves while taking care of a sick family member?
Wow. First of all, anyone who has a family member who is unwell, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, that can be a tall order on the family. I suggest that we give the best that we can to the ailing member of the family. But if there are other members in that family, it has to be kind of joint effort. We all need to be able to be doing something so that it is not just one person. There's a tendency in probably some families where they feel, oh, this one is better placed, this one has resources, they can be able to take them to hospital, they have the money and, at least more resources. Now, that shouldn't happen because everybody can do something towards supporting the ailing person. There's nothing as assuring as a sick person being supported by family members. Where possible, every member being able to do something. And talking to that ailing person and visiting them. If they're at home and everyone is not living in that home, then they need to make frequent visits. But ideally, one can actually wear out of taking care of a sick person, yet they have to work. Maybe their children to be taken care of, especially for mothers, so you need to ask for help, and probably that is a discussion that can happen around the family.
Ask for help. We want to appreciate you, Michael Fron. You're saying very interesting discussion. Thank you for following us on Facebook. Dr. Saul Kibe saying, this is my teacher. That's great. and asking this is a message that every Kenyan needs to hear. Thank you, Dr. Saul Kibe. We appreciate you. Mokaya Mwendelani writes and asks, Daktari, kindly talk about depression in children.
Wow. That's my passion. And that's a very important question you have asked, Mokaya. That's a very good area you have touched on. Many times, children are ignored. Actually, many people don't think that children get depressed, but they do. They get anxious. They have emotions like everyone else.
Yeah.
They have a brain, so they also get all those turmoils that we go through. So with the children and depression, first of all, it's important to identify what is this that is depressing the child. Could it be schoolwork if they are school-going age? Could it be the caregiver who is taking care of this child, who is actually stressing them? Because that's the starting point. Yes. Could it be that other children are also discriminating and isolating? So children and depression can have as many sources as the child interacts.
Yes.
So it is good that once we identify that the child has depression, it is good to reassure that child. Dealing with the depression in children is very easy, and it actually manages itself very quickly.
How does it manage for parents who are watching? How can you tell my child is depressed or anxious?
Yes, if a child who is depressed or suffering from anxiety disorders will definitely be isolated. Naturally, children love play.
Yes.
And a child who is not engaging in play, especially with other children, that child has an issue.
Okay.
And particularly if it is a kind of diversion. They have not been like that before, but suddenly they seem to isolate themselves. They are not interested in play. Sometimes they lose appetite. They are not willing to eat. They are not willing to talk. They don't want to go to school. There is something about school-related anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah, but maybe something is happening in school. So it's upon the parent to establish where could this have come from. Particularly for a child who is not very expressive. And naturally, children, especially below 12 years, they are not expressive.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to call the emotion.
Yes.
They don't know how to say. You know, to them, everything is headache.
Yes.
Everything is pain, you know, yes. Stomachache and all that. So when they are sad, they cannot, the most they can say, I have stomachache or I have headache, which is really not the thing. So the child must be supported. If it gets bad, and the child is completely withdrawn, they need to be taken to a child psychologist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. Please look out for that and take your child to a child psychologist. Now, one more. How can the youth overcome depression after college? A good chunk of youth find it hard to cope with unemployment and resentment from parents in the name of battling laziness.
Oh. Wow,
that's a tough one.
The youth is a tough one, but still manageable.
Okay.
Grace.
Yes, yes.
Nothing is impossible. Now, the youth, one thing, the youth need to be busy. The youth that we are talking about, who are also called adolescents, after college, after high school and all that, even after university, they need to identify something they love doing. There's a lot of energy with the youth that goes to waste if it's not tapped.
Yes.
So I suggest that every family tap that energy in that youth, help them to find out what they would love doing. Is it music? Is it art? You know, is it what? Let them identify what they would love to do. Maybe as they wait for another opportunity somewhere else, as opposed to lazing around, sitting, eating, because eating with the youth is a must. I mean, that's one thing that must not go.
Yes.
And, you know, doing other things that are really unnecessary. The youth must refuse to be pushed into peer pressure that will lead them into even addiction problems. Talk of drugs, addiction, and so on. Just because we didn't manage our time.
Yes.
So it is important also to acknowledge that I've finished what I was doing. I have more time, I have more years, as God gives me the years, and I can do something. But they need also support from the adults who live with the youth.
Yes.
The youth do not have too much experience. They do not have what we call crystallized intelligence. They are not able, generally, they are discovering things every day.
Yes.
So they need to be guided by someone who has been there and who can hold their hand. And that's why we talk about mentorship.
Yes.
Every youth person needs a mentor. And this has to be a mentor who lead them in a positive direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we wrap it up, how can one prevent themselves from having burnout, which can lead someone to get into depression, and their life can totally change towards the negative side?
Yeah, first of all, we need to probably define burnout. That state of exhaustion, mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, name it.
Yeah.
It's all in that basket. And when a person feels that they have reached the end of the rope, they have been working,
yes,
and then they feel I have no more energy, I'm done with this. That could be a burnout. And it is important to take a break.
Yes.
No one is expected to work over and over. Our creator of the universe and the creator of all humanity rested. I mean, we need to learn from such things. Nature itself has seasons. A season to rest, a season of cold like now, but here it is very warm. I thank God.
Yeah.
So we need also to move with the seasons. We need to know there's time to stop, look back, think about where I've come from, what have I achieved, what do I want next.
Yes.
So it is always recommended that we have a break. Exercise is good. Do the things you love doing, self-care,
Yes.
arms around again.
Yes.
Take care of yourself, eat well, get adequate sleep, hang out with friends that you love and with the things that you love doing.
Okay.
And that gives us a lot of relief. The reason why even at work we are given leave,
Yes.
It could be annual leave, could be whatever kind of leave, but we take leave because we can't work like machines. And that's how people develop burnouts. Before they know it, depression has been attracted into it. Anxiety, everything has been invited in that house.
Okay.
And it turns out to be a bit nasty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, somebody is asking about high functioning depression.
That is high functioning?
High functioning depression. Is there something like that? High functioning depression, and how can that be managed?
Okay. Probably not necessarily high functioning depression, but severe depression. When a person reaches, all of us get depressed, by the way, from time to time.
Okay.
And when we say, okay, I'm depressed, it's just a passing crowd. I would say it's a weed
Yes.
that comes.
Yes.
Like I was just in traffic before I got here,
Yes.
and I was feeling depressed. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but I
Anxious.
wasn't feeling good
Yes.
at all.
Yes.
Anxiety,
Yes.
stress,
Yes.
and it's like, I hate this. I wish I could just have my way and drive on the highway,
Yes.
and so on. Now, severe depression is medical. When we get to that level, there are about 4 levels of depression.
Yes.
And that one, the experts know how they assess them. So when a person gets to that high level or that severity, that, red line, they've passed it. That is not good. And that's why some people will be put on medication and others will be put on counseling, psychotherapy, and they are good to go.
Okay.
So it is important for one also to avoid, first of all, to get in there and get caught and the door shuts and you are in the cage. Because now everything else is going to cook and there will be the graduation from one level of depression to another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Sawa. So allow us to call it a day right there, Jane, and we appreciate you so much for coming and sharing this with us. And we pray that we'll practice self-care, in our respective areas, and of course also helping our children practice self-care.
True.
Because we forget them a lot. Thank you so much. God bless you. Looking forward to having you again.
I'm delighted.
And again.
Thank you.
Her name is Jane Ngatia, a counseling psychologist and a mental health enthusiast. We are discussing about self-care and mental health. One thing is a takeaway for me is, please, if you're having that situation, all you need to do is to lift up your hand and allow somebody to raise you up and walk with you through that season you're going through. And also, please seek counsel. See a counselor, see a psychiatrist, see a doctor, and you'll be able to get help. Please don't stay in that situation. There is help for you. My name is Grace Mutisa. I want to wish you a blessed time and hope to join you again next week, same time, same station, of course with a different doctor as we discuss matters health. Have a beautiful one and keep it at Hope TV where you look and live. Shalom and God bless.